Hey, good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's well. Welcome in, welcome in. My name is Paul. I'll be your DM for a little while. Have lots of things to talk about tonight. I know we didn't have our Shadow Dark live game last night, and I know some of you get disappointed when you don't see this beautiful face. I'm just kidding. I do like to check in from time to time, though. I like to check in and make sure, when I go live, I try to make sure I have something to say, of course. And in this live, I'm going to be sharing with you a couple of things. One, I'm going to be talking about my 30-day dungeon experiment. And so if you have interest in that, please be sure to leave some comments or questions that you have about this experiment that I've been doing. And then also, I'm going to be talking about my new zine that's out, and that is Crit Happens number 6, The Corrupted, for my Hex Crawl of Horror right here. And so we'll be talking about that here in a little while. So feel free, hang out, grab your favorite beverage, hang out with me. You notice I'm doing my best Tim Shorts impression here with my hat on. It's 27 degrees here in Birmingham. And so it's a bit chilly, not gonna lie. It's a bit chilly. I'd like to know, what is the temperature where you're at right now? So let's go ahead and talk real quick. First of all, like I said, we took yesterday off from Shadow Dark, from our Shadow Dark campaign. That's been going really well. I'm playing a new character. Taryn is on vacation, kind of. He's in training. He's in training to be some kind of priest of Sereth paladin of some kind, and so we're going to see what happens to him. I'm just sowing my seed all over Scorn. Characters are just I'm just going to put characters everywhere. They're going to run into doom singers and all kinds of folks that are out there. So I've been doing this 30-day dungeon, and I've been trying to make 30 dungeons in 30 days. I'm up to day 22. I think today I put the new video out today, and I think that's one of my favorites in the sense of where the possibilities of where it could go. And so I have put in there, let me see if I can bring up a picture real quick of what today's looks like. Let's see. It was a oh, there it is. Okay. Let's put it in here. There we go. What do you think about that? That's fantastic, right? Alien Pilgrimage is the latest dungeon that I've been working on. And it is really, there's lots of options there. And somebody had commented and had mentioned about facehuggers from the Alien series. And I'm like, hey, I'm down with it. Because if this is happening in a pyramid, I mean, look, it's Stargate meets Alien, Alien Requiem, right? Or Alien versus Predator or something. I have high hopes for this dungeon. And that's partly why I'm doing the dungeon in the first place. I'm doing the dungeon because as I make these little zines here, I want them to go, I want these dungeons to go in here. I want to make whole adventures, right? These are, I don't want to make it complicated. These are average about 23 pages. And so I'm going to keep them like that. And so in doing the 30 dungeons, I hope to have 30 adventures, and I want to do it in multiple formats. I want to have one-sheet adventures. I want to have booklets of expanded versions of the adventures. I want to have I just want to have it in different formats, right? I want to be able to put the adventures into different formats for whoever in different ways so that people could get what they want, and they'll be at various price points and things like that. So if I put a bunch of zines together in a bunch of one-shots, maybe I'll make it a one-shot. Maybe I'll take it and expand it into a booklet where it includes settings, it includes other things, and it becomes much more expansive. So, I think that's the whole point of doing the dungeons, is trying to do the 30 days worth of dungeons, is to create content that I'm going to use. I mean, I got right now, if I do all 30, you're talking about probably a couple of years worth of things that I can work on. And rather than sitting there with, pen in hand and just kind of, what am I going to do today kind of a thing. I got 30, things, and I'm still making settings and still making some of the videos for these locations, these little adventure hooks that I'll eventually put together as well. So, but anyway, I see a bunch of people in here. Thank you guys for joining. Feel free to comment. Let me know Once again, it's 27 degrees here. What is the temperature where you are right now? Because if you're warmer than me, I might want to go where you are. Okay, so and thank you for the thumbs up. Be sure if you'd like to hit the thumbs up, you're welcome to do so. If you're not a subscriber yet, you're welcome to subscribe. And here we go. Good evening, Tabletop Wanderer. Let me tell you something. You are up in the middle of the night. If I saw your stuff earlier, you are up in the middle of the night. God bless you. If you're up for me, that's one thing. If you're up because, you're old like me and you get up at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. in the morning, and you're like, I'm up now, then good. But listen, I hope you didn't get up for me. I hope you're just up and you can't sleep or something. But and I want to welcome in Terry. Terry, thank you for being here. Appreciate you, buddy. And Mac, as always, buddy. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you guys hanging and being a part. I'm not going to take super long. I'm here. I'm the guy that wants to come in, do his part, and then get off, right? Don't stay on the stage too long is something I've learned, right? Stay there for just about as long as you need to be, and then get out of here. Okay. It's 11:30 p.m. I thought it was a lot early, but 11:30 p.m. Okay, it's fair. I stay up. I can stay up that long at least. Not tonight and not in this video for sure. Max says, let's see, it's 34 degrees. Oh, negative. What? Oh, in Bismarck. Stay away, stay far. Yeah, no, we're not going there. Not going to Bismarck. That's insane. So for those of you that have been on the journey, and maybe for those of you that have not been on the journey, let me start from the beginning. And I'm going to go through this very quickly because I want to get to the end where I'm going to actually go ahead. And this is actually up, for sale right now. And I want to give you my pitch as to why I'm kind of doing it the way I'm doing it. And if you have interest in it, great. If you don't, no hard feelings from me. Once again, I'm a value-based guy. If I make something that is of value, whether it's a video, whether it's a zine, whether it's whatever it is, I'm big in meritocracy, right? It's merit-based. It's if I do a good job, great. If I don't, then listen, I deserve nothing, as I tell people. Look, so for me, that's just how I roll. 2 degrees here in Michigan. Oh, Terry. You do have it worse than me. But 27, it's cold for the South here, guys. Now listen, I grew up in New York City, so I'm used to some things, but age tends to thin out the skin a little bit. Hit me if that's correct. Some of you, maybe you're going, yeah, that's probably true there, Paul. So let me go ahead and start then with looking where this whole thing went from, right? So I started out, and I can't even tell you, other than the fact that I grew up with horror movies, and I said, I want to do something simple for myself. Once again, I'm not telling anybody how to run a hex crawl. I said I wanted to make a hex crawl that I understood that was easy for me as a DM to populate, to explain, to be able to bring to my table. So I'm not telling anybody how to run their hex crawl. Run your hex crawl however you want to run your hex crawl. This is how I'm doing it. This is how I formulated it for me. And by the way, Tim Shorts has a great video right now. Go check out his channel. He has at Gothridge Manor. He has a great, he's starting his series on hex crawls and how he populates his. So I'm going to encourage you to go watch his video. Let's see, Tabletop Wanderer. By the way, Tabletop Wanderer has a pretty good channel. Go check out that channel too. -4 Celsius, and you're part of Portugal. Wow, in Portugal. God bless you. Whew, craziness. So anyway, going right along here, I'm going to go ahead and pop onto the screen and just show you the first zine I put out about this. Why? Because, once again, I grew up watching horror movies, and horror is just a great, it has so many great tropes, it has so many great elements to it that make great tabletop moments. And my type of horror is very much, if you watch any of the videos I've done that include some sort of horror dynamic to it, it's very much Shaun of the Dead kind of horror. It's very much, this is terrible, but it's also hilariously funny. It's very rare. I like moments, like moments at the table where you describe something and eyes get real big and go, oh no. And that's happened to me in some of these Shadow Dark games where I go, oh no, oh, what is happening? Why is this? And so I like those moments. I do not like at my table. I'm not for extended gore. I'm not for uh, too much, a little bit of, body horror when necessary. I just don't, I'm just not a super graphic person in that regard. So when doing this, I was like, I just want to try to have a decent hex crawl that has some fun to it and has what what are we doing? Why are we clicking on things, Paul? Stop clicking on things. Don't click on things no more. Sanity. All right, back to what I was saying. Crit Happens, issue number 4. This is where it all kind of began. And as you can see here, it's just a hex crawl of horror. I just wanted to do something weird, right? I said, look, I want to make this hex crawl. As you can see here, all my stuff is, in the PDFs are clickable. So, I go, let's see, let me start with, what is a hex crawl? Take you right to it. And I'm not going to go through a whole thing. I just want to kind of scroll through, just kind of show you kind of where I'm at with it. And you feel free to ask questions as we go here. So basically a hex crawl, I give it a little and that's also for new people, right? If new people pick this up and say they've never done a hex crawl before, I want to help them, be able to do that. Understand it a little bit, at least to the best of my ability to explain it. And then we get into the hex crawl map, where my hex crawls, hexes traditionally anywhere from 6 to 10 miles. Mine are 6 miles. And you can populate it the way you want. So I have some of my factions there, and you can see these factions are all different kinds. There's factions, there's landmarks, there's places of adventure, things of that nature that I'm putting in there. And my goal is to put in these hexes, 3 to 6 factions in an area, and then see where it goes from there. So then I get into the hex flower, and in my hex flower, in this horror thing, and by the way, the whole thing, this whole hex, I call it a hex crawl, but it's also because it's a double entendre, because these witches basically created this hex. They were doing a hex. They were fighting against the nature gods, and they were like, we need to gain control over this situation. So they basically got all these artifacts, poured all the magic from the artifacts into the deal, and they said, we're going to do this hex. So they did it, and the problem is it blew up, and it, like, if you can picture like a magical nuclear explosion of some kind, where you see in the original Predator, where it kind of goes, and it's just kind of, this kind of reverberation of magic happens. It just got all throughout the earth there, over the land, and basically this in the hexing we have here. I have what's called dominating forces, dominating powers, and these are territories. Once again, you have to put up with that nonsense. Me and my doing things like that, and so basically each hex flower has dominating forces and dominating powers. A dominating power can be, example, the witches. Now let's say here it's spirits. So they're going to be the dominating force in the hex flower, and they're going to, permeate. They're trying to gain control and power of an area. So they're going to be your character, your PCs will run into them more so than maybe others. Then you have dominating forces. The dominating forces are those things that are just running around. They're trying to either usurp the dominating power, they're either in allegiance with the dominating power, and they're there as well. Let's continue. And then it talks about the hexing. I just explained that to you. Then you got the territories, which is a single, a group of, I want to say it's a group of 3 flowers. And so in there, the 6 locations, you have, like example, the 6 locations that I have the camp, the temple. In this example, I have a couple of camps where there's basically these marauders or something like that's running around, a camp of survivors. You have a temple. So that's what's in the 6 locations. Then the dominating forces, they have the dead, which is the corrupted now, a couple of cults, more dead, dragons, and a spirit world. So we go on from there. And then that's how we have where the corrupted come in, is that you have that, like the little hand symbol there is the is the dead. So this is what a hex would look like. That's 6 miles. 6 miles is nothing. 6 miles each way. It's significant ground you're covering, but it also makes it compact in a way, right? You don't have to travel so far. If you want to go a mile or 2 miles, however much time that is, you're either in a city, you're in a field, you're in a hamlet, you're in a village, whatever it may be. And so we have that, and then we go on to we go into the domination, right? Who is the dominating factor? In other words, a dominating faction has increased knowledge or sense of the area, as in the case of Sauron's Eye. More armies belong to that dominating power. Once again, you're going to run into them more. Atmospheric conditions may change, as in the case of Hell's Wrath, where PCs may have to roll a con check for increased heat, let's say. In the spirit world is the dominating power. Maybe the characters phase between this life and the next, losing armor, equipment, or life. But this is a system neutral, so I don't say hit points, but that's your life every time they do. If the dread, which I believe are the Cthulhu-ish type beasts, are damaging, intelligence checks might be made to fend off madness. And I have the hexing location. So if you want to do a random and just create a random hex flower, you can do that. And then you have, once again, hexing encounters. Who is it going to be? Is it going to be dragons? Is it going to be Hell's Wrath, witches and warlocks, the dread, and so forth? And then it goes through all the things. So now I'm going to go ahead. Let me go back to, that's kind of that. And then I put some extra stuff in the back that you can have as well. There's a territory power example where it's 3 of those hex flowers together. There's spirits. There's the corrupted, which I have to go back now and fix that. The corrupted, you know what it is now. And then Hell's Wrath owns that kind of spot. So you're going to run into more of that. Then it gives you more of those, and they give you a little worksheet to work with, and all that. Now, that being said, let me come back to the screen here, and let me get rid of that. That's the first one. Then I came out with the witches, right? So the witches, which is kind of the core of what has happened here. Let me show you that real quick. This is the witches of the blackened earth, and you can use them as once again. If this is the beginning of the factions, right? The faction zine. So this is number 5, and I go into the content of that. I go into different things, like I give you the backstory. So I give you a little bit of lore that's going on there. And then I give you some named characters in this particular one. And then it talks about the hexing, and then you have your characters. By the way, this art is by Jeremy Hart. Jeremy Hart has fantastic OSR, OSE, just old school art. I recommend if you go see him. I'll put some links down below to some of his stuff after the video. You can check out his stuff. Great art, and he has, with permission, allowed me to use it in the zines, and I'm going to continue to use his art because I think it's the best. I think it's the best art you can find for this particular style that I'm trying to do. And so you have the 4 different witches, main witches that you see there. And then I started making little subclasses. This is the Wasteland Caster, which is kind of like a warlock, wizard, spell slinger type character, and how you use the magic. I give all kinds of descriptions for that, and the different types of magic. And then there'll be others in the future, right? I'll expand upon it. That's one of the things about creating something, is that it's always expandable. You're always adding something to a zine. So maybe I'll do a zine where there's like every page is a different faction with new spells, new NPCs, things of that nature. So in a zine format, I can do that. And once again, if you guys have any questions as we're going along, please feel free to ask questions if you have any. And I appreciate you guys hanging with me, because I'm eventually going to get to the corrupted here. Okay. And then I wanted to do some extra things. So example, in this particular case, in Wasteland Magic, a caster should roll a 1d8 to determine the direction of the manifestation. So there's these manifestations that happen as a part of the corruption, right? As part of what the hex has done. Things crazy, magic can act crazy. So when you cast a spell, something may happen, and it goes, in a direction. So direction die is 1d8, and then the distance, and then the area. So you have that to work with. And then you have the manifestation table. So you have, 1d6. Could be blight and decay, could be elemental manifestations. Then each of those have their own table as well, right? Because I like a good table, don't you? I'm into a good table. And then you have, as we move along, let me see, we have the Wasteland spells. And then we get into other, each of these zines, I usually have a link to other resources I recommend, like Jeremy Hart's art there in the Witch 3 stock art. So I've tried to make sure that I put his art in there, as well as other resources. If you're totally into the witches and hexes and that kind of stuff, then I put all the stuff that I think is of what I think is of value for my table, and I pass along to you if that's something you want to purchase from drive-thru. Okay, and then it goes into that. So now, any questions thus far before I do the big reveal on the corrupted? Let me know. Any questions in the chat? Any questions? Let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to keep moving. Because like I said, I don't like to do super long. I know there's people who love to do these 3-hour lives. I don't know if I could do that. Most I do is 45 minutes, which is probably what I'm going to keep to in this regard. And let's see, I got to find. There we go. And I will show you now then the corrupted, what I have done in this. And like I said, you're welcome to ask questions about any of the material. And I'll move this stuff over here so you can see it. And let's check it out. Well, thank you, Tabletop Wanderer. Just looked up my shop. I am on both drive-thru and I have my own little shop on the side through a site called gumroad.com. Those links, by the way, I'll put, let me just go ahead and put that in here. I'm going to put the link right now because it'll lead you to other things that I have that I'm going to produce in the future. This is for the single zine, the corrupted zine. Let's see. Put that in there. And please tell me, Tabletop Wanderer, what have I done to confuse you? I never blame the person looking at it. I look at myself. So feel free to ask questions, because it's probably something I have done that I have not explained well, which would not be the first time that I have done that. Okay. Yes, the bundle of zine 4, 5, and 6 is $4.99. Correct. And I'm going to tell you why here in just a second. Because I know that the individual zines are $1 a piece. Eventually, what's going to happen? Yes, correct, Tabletop. You are reading that correct. I'm going to explain. Let me explain to you why I've done it this way. And let me do this. Let me show you the crit happens first. Let me show you this issue first, and then I shall explain. That is that is correct. Thank you, Tabletop Wanderer. You are exactly correct. Everything you're saying is correct. Thank you, Mac. Mac is saying don't forget to leave tips. Here's why, and I'll tell you. Let me tell you in advance. I'll tell you up front. Once again, I am trying to go to a con in the summer. The con cost $100. So my goal then is, by packaging it together. Now listen, if I have to go back just to make it understandable to everybody, do I think the zines are worth $2 a piece? Maybe. Or maybe I do 100. Maybe I do them at $1.50. But even then, what does that be? $1.50 a piece is $4.50. I'm still coming up. You get them cheaper by doing that. I'm wanting to go a con in North Texas called the North Texas RPG Con. So I'm putting a special price on this particular bundle at $5. So I can raise a little bit of money to cover my cost for the con. Simple as that. No, there's other. That's totally what I'm trying to do, and that's my goal in doing this, is to bundle these together. And I know it doesn't make sense. It doesn't. Will the bundle is always going to be $5. The zines probably will stay at $1 a piece, or pay what you want. You always have the option to tip. That's one thing that Drive-Thru RPG doesn't do. I mean, you can pay what you want, but I like the option the way my little Gumroad site does it, because it asks you, would you like to tip? And I find that people tend to say, "Look, I'd love to be able to tip for that, especially to a creator and those kind of things." Which is, by the way, a new title, if you want to give it that, a new way of me doing that is because when I ask people, I want people to say, "Look, okay, this guy created something," and then you decide how much value it's worth, right? So in this case, yes, the other zines are $1. This one is $5. The bundle is $5 because it gets people into the ecosphere of what's happening between the hex crawl and all that stuff. And then once again, I make no bones about it. It says, look, I'm trying to, if I sell it for $5, my goal is to sell it for 20. Once, that's over, I'm not going to necessarily, push that, but I think $5 is a good price for the 3 zines, and all the zines may go up. Mac says, I think they're worth a few bucks each. I'm an old school DM and I've found value in each one. We need to support indie creators and the OSR subgenre. Thank you, Mac. I appreciate that. And once again, it's value based. It's whatever people think is the value of that. And I try to make it as valuable as I can. I'm not a gimme guy, right? I'm not I don't have a Patreon. I don't do a GoFundMe. It's not in my head. I'd rather have and give what something is worth and say, here's what I think it's worth. If you don't buy it. Totally understandable. If you do think it's worthwhile, go ahead. But the reason I'm doing the bundle and why I'm doing it the way I'm doing it is because, well, 6 months away, I would like to go ahead and pay for my own con by selling this little bundle together. All I need is 20 people to do it. If you're one of the 20, thank you. Thank you so much for doing that. If you're not, that's okay too. I'm not worried. It's not a big deal for me. I'm gonna get there one way or another. If you help, that's great. So let's go ahead and jump into then this, and let's see if this is any value for you, right? So in doing this, so here we go. And let's see. Do we want to make this a little? No, we're not going to do that. Let's see here. Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger just so you can see. There we go. Let's do it that way. So you can see a little bit better. And I should have done with the other one, so I apologize for that. So what I'm trying to do, and once again, I'm testing my own abilities here, right? This is not something I normally have done. So I'm trying to figure it out as I go. And I'm trying to get better at, putting things the way they're supposed to be put so that somebody new gets it, they understand it. So, well, here we have just an introduction, and then I put system agnostic, because if people don't know what system agnostic is, especially for some people who, like I said, who don't know what OSR is, they don't know tabletop systems, they don't know any of those things, I try to explain that best way I know how. There's better ways to explain it, and other people explain it far better than I do, but I'm going to put an explanation so people know what it is. Then I have the contents, and in this particular contents, I have the corrupted and their auras. So now I've given these, because what the hex does, it gives these undead auras. They carry this aura with them, and they're never alone. You're never going to find one. Normal zombies, maybe, probably not even there either. They're always going to be in packs. They're going to be running in groups. Okay. Hey, Mr. Vance, how are you, sir? Good to see you. Glad you're here. I'm now explaining the new corrupted. Once again, it's me playing with words. The corrupted. So in this, they have auras. They carry these auras with them. And then they have boons and banes, alternate corrupted aura tables. There's creatures. Once again, these are from Jeremy Hart. Fantastic artist. Love his work. Can't recommend it enough. You have the Shadow Horde, the Bone Lords, the Avrikalak, which I think I got that from Greece. From there, it's a Greek word for vampire. And then you have the Marrow Lich, which I really like. And then I created a subclass called the Necrologist. And then the Necrologist, well, we'll get into that in a minute. So I give the corrupted, I give a brief, in each one of them, I'll give a brief explanation of how we got here. The Witches of the Blackened Earth, consumed by a desire for revenge, cast a potent hex intended to bring them power and control. The hex instead unleashed a catastrophic chain of events. Okay, so that's basically that. I'm giving people just a little background and then why the corrupted are the way they are. Okay, the corrupted now roam the land, but them eating your brain should be the least of your worries. So, I give you a few thoughts about the corrupted. They're diverse. Some are fast, some are slow. Some can garble simple phrases and their former lives from their former lives, and some have retained their intelligence. By the way, if I find any typos, I'm going to fix them immediately, and you will get new ones. If I in fact miss a typo, it's entirely possible. I'm looking for them. You don't have to look for them because I trust me. When I'm reading this, I'm going, oh, this is 1.4 by the way, and I sent Tim Shorts a copy of it. I must have sent him 4 different copies of that. So the corrupted do not travel solo; they only travel in groups. See tables. Each of the corrupted brings both a boon and bane to their opposition because corrupted magic. So here's the corrupted encounter. Here's the corruption table, and I've tried to make them to where they kind of complement one another. You can find small groups, big groups. You're just going to find what you're going to find out there. It's a horror hex crawl, so it is what it is. And one thing I tried to do with these auras is because what I try to do with the boon and the bane is that when you run into a horde or you run into a group of them, it can either favor you or it can favor the corrupted, right? It's just another tool that when you run into them, you don't know exactly what you're going to run into. It's hard to determine. I don't want player characters guessing like, oh, I already know what this thing does. I already know what these things do. No. Something can happen in there that's not going to favor you. So, example, the boons and banes. So when characters encounter the corrupted, someone in the party will roll a d6. This will determine the corrupted will determine if the corrupted carry a bane aura or a boon aura or no aura. Now this is the simple part. 1 or 2 is a bane. 3 or 4, no effect. 5 or 6, there's a boon. So banes, bad for the party. Boons, good for the party. And 3 or 4, no effect. You could just say no advantage goes to either group, right? Then I give you an alternate table for on a 3 or 4. So maybe on a 3 or 4, unstable ground. The ground in the area is unstable, creating difficult terrain for both the players and the undead. This could lead to unexpected falls, making combat more chaotic. Roll a one-time save versus an applicable stat for each party. A save means you do not have to roll again. So in other words, if there's unstable ground, if these things are coming along, maybe the ground is bursting apart. Maybe there's rocks popping up. Maybe you could say anything that's creating an unstable. Maybe the ground's shaking, right? So you can put different things according to your game in there that would create unstable ground. That if you save once, that's it. Now you've adjusted. Your character has adjusted to the ground, and you don't need to roll anymore. But if you fail, then you're gonna have to save until you have to save until you do, because otherwise you're going to be maybe at a disadvantage with whatever you're doing, because you're navigating the ground, because the ground is shaking, because you can't adapt. It's going to affect the way you attack. It's going to affect some of your other rolls. Maybe there's an environmental hazard. A sudden environmental hazard arises, such as collapsing ceiling. If you're indoors, a rising tide, a sudden sandstorm, exploding fire pits, sinkholes, or plant overgrowth. This forces both sides to adapt and overcome the new challenge. Maybe it's a distraction, right? A loud noise or sudden. So maybe there's a scream. Maybe there's howling. Maybe the undead are coming along and there's a bright glow, or the aura is shining around them, and it's distracting to the players. So the unrelated events distract both the players and the corrupted, creating a brief window of opportunity or a temporary lull in the action. Both parties must roll a check versus an applicable stat, whichever that is for you, whatever game you're playing. Those who fail continue to fight at disadvantage, whatever that is in your game. Then you have the echolocation, which I think this is very similar to what Tim did in our Shadow Dart game. I don't know if I would call it that or not, but somehow these undead could see us in ways that I did not know could be seen. So this echolocation is the corrupted gain a temporary advantage in echolocation. allowing them to sense the player's positions more accurately. This could be countered by the players using means to obscure themselves, roll versus an applicable stat, to avoid detection. So they can hide, they can cover themselves in mud, they can, something is happening that is allowing the corrupted to see them in ways that they had not planned on being seen. So there's ways of doing that. Then we get into the actual creatures. You have the Shadow Horde. And I put very simple, easy things there. They're easy. Their armor class is easy, so easy to hit. They have a D6 hit dice. And you can determine, so if you say you think they're 2D6, okay, then you roll 2D6, and that's going to be the hit points for all of them. They're going to be, between 2 and 12 hit points, or they're going to be 1 and 6 hit points, whatever you want. They have the damage they do is a clubbing blow. They have their aura is going to be specific to them, which is oppressive darkness. If it's a boon, PCs have advantage on stealth checks, so maybe you can hide very much far easier if you don't want to do combat with them. In the Bane, PCs have disadvantage on perception checks, and any magic that deals radiant damage is less effective against them. So the Shadow is a real thing that's causing real-time problems for the PCs. Then you have the Bone Lords. These are the skeletal creatures whose bones are held together by dark, tainted magic. They are incredibly strong, large, and resistant to physical damage. So you can do a resistance where you hit, but you're not. It's going to be -2 on physical hits, unless you have a magical weapon, maybe. Right? Movement is medium. Armor class, medium, so a little higher. So if you want to do armor class, whatever the armor class, if you're doing ascending, descending, however you're doing it in your game, you can do it appropriately. D8 is, of course, you can do 1D8, you can do 2D8. Then you have Grapple and Squeeze, which gives a 1D8 plus damage there. You have the Corrupted Aura, which is Deathly Grasp. These bone creatures like to grab you and maybe wrap their bones extend from their body and trap you. So you're actually gripped by these extended bones that come off of them that put you in like a little cage of some kind. But PCs have advantage on offensive and defensive grapple checks. So once you get grappled, you can have advantage on getting out because you've figured something out. Banes, if a PC is struck, they must make a roll versus an applicable stat versus rigor mortis. I really like this. I'll be honest with you. I thought this was probably one of my favorite things I thought of. Rigor mortis or paralyzation will set in within 4 rounds. So basically, you think of a dead body, or that you're starting now. Your body is starting to seize up on you. So basically, what that says is once that happens, it's -1 to hit round 1 until you figure it out. Until you've either gotten out of the grip, or until you've gotten away from them, until you've saved, maybe. So every round you're going to save. Round 1, if you lose your save, if you save, you're done. Rigor mortis will not affect you. But if you fail, right, a fail affects their ability to hit during that round. So if you miss round 1, it's going to be -1 to hit till the next round, till the end of the next round. Round 2, if you fail, it's going to be -3, and so forth. Your bones everything is just going to start to seize up. You're like, and you're trying to hit. It's not going to work very well, but it could cause a lot of funny moments. So then you have the Vricolac. These creatures must be sustained with the flesh and blood of others. Humanoids and others are treated like cattle and reproduce for food. Movement is medium. AC is hard. So once again, adjust accordingly. D10 hit dice. So it could be 1D10, 2D10, however you choose to do that. You either get 2 claws at 1D6 plus a bite 1D8. So you're getting 2 claws and a bite. Their corrupted aura is a bloodlust. And the bloodlust is when the battle concludes. The PCs, the boon is, whichever PC draws first blood, they are consumed with bloodlust and receive an extra attack for the duration of the battle. When the battle concludes, the bane is that when the PC who drew first blood must roll to constrain themselves or continue attacking the nearest PC to them. And then if a character is bitten, in this case, you're going to be turned. If a character is bitten by a Vricolac, they must roll versus an applicable stat. Maybe that's whatever, death. Maybe it's roll versus death. Maybe it's roll versus your constitution, whatever it is. On a failure, the PC begins the turning process of turning, and the character will become a Verkalak in 1d6 days, barring a remove curse spell. So you can get free of it. You just gotta, within 1 roll it, and then you're gonna be like, okay, effects are gonna start happening. Your fingers are gonna start to grow. You're gonna you start turning into Nosferatu or whatever. Something, you start seeing the physical manifestations of you turning. So you want to find a remove curse as quickly as possible, if there is one. The Marrow Lich, and that would also affect, obviously, if you're maybe you start turning evil. Once again, that's up to your game. Does the character start to? Yeah, Mac, thank you. See, now you I was trying to tell you guys earlier. I was saying, hey, you guys, I'm watching, but you found it, so I know. Second line, thank you. I will fix that. Let's see here. Yes. That's the thing, man. When you go through these things, you got the whole chat doing editing for you. But that's my bad. I should have checked it entirely first. I thought I had them all. I did not. So I thank you, Mac, for finding that for me. In this case, we have the Marrow Lich. And the Marrow Lich is skeletal abomination. Its bones twisted and contorted into unnatural shapes. Its eyes. It's supposed to be its eyes are hollow sockets that glow with an eerie. You pencil in arse. There we go, Mac. Thank you very much. You pencil that in. I'm gonna fix it. Don't worry. Here we go. Let's see. Once again, I'm a creator in real time, so I don't mind making mistakes. Somebody will watch this and go, I need to do better than that guy, which I'm fine with. It's our hollow sockets that glow with an eerie, malevolent green light. Unlike other corrupted, the Marrow Lich draws its power not from necromantic energies, but from the very essence of its victims, consuming their marrow and draining them of vitality. Movement is medium. AC is hard, resistant to melee combat. And then let's see, the HD is 12. So you notice I'm just ascending with the HD. So I'm making these things, leveling them up in some way to show you that it's going from this to that. I always typo at least once. That's right. I'm going to fix it all. Don't you worry. Anybody who buys it tonight, I will send you another copy. That I promise. I will fix it right after this. So anyway, and you have to get used to doing that. I think I'm done being embarrassed by it. I'm like, you know what? Just stuff happens, man. Just you miss things. It's just how it goes. The damage that a Marrow Lich does: 2 claws, 1d8, or 1 spell. So I've tried to balance this as best I can. Save versus necrotic damage, 1d10. The corrupted aura is life drain in these. So the boon is PCs gain a one-time boost to life because you're drawing off of them. Something happens and you're now drawing off of them. And you gain 1d10. Or Bane, you're going to lose 1d10 life points. Spells. The Marrow Lich can cast 1 of 3 spells one time each. So in other words, you're not going to run into they're going to get 3. And not 3 every round. They're going to get just 3. Okay? That's right. It's just errata. You're going to do errata. Let's see. The spell weakens the bones. I like this Bone Wither, by the way, because I think this adds a pun intended crunchiness to it. This spell weakens the bones of its target for 1d4 rounds, making them brittle and prone to breaking. A PC must make an applicable roll after every hit during the 1d4 rounds on this chart to see if any bones get broken. Once again, another typo there. So their hand, their arm, their foot, leg, ribs, or head. And I think that's a little bit of crunchy fun. It's good because, once again, these aren't the characters we play in Shadow Dark are not superheroes. Bad things can happen. Joe the Lawyer's character lost fingers. You can break some bones. This spell targets, kind of a minor version of Pathfinder's Bone Shatter. Good stuff. Thank you, sir. And then it gets into roll versus applicable stat. Failure causes PC to sit down. The marrow rot. Excuse me. This spell targets the very marrow of life. Its victims, causing extreme despair and unwillingness to fight or even live. That could get real dark depending on the game you're playing, right? Then roll versus applicable stat. Failure causes PC to sit down, drop their weapon, enter, crawl in a hole, and assume the fetal position for 1d4 rounds. I don't think these are too hard. I don't think these are too OP. I don't think they're... but you're welcome to share in the chat. If you think they are, go ahead. I don't think they are. I'm trying to be fair. I'm trying to think, if I'm a character and I'm playing, do I want this to happen to me? With things like... the goal isn't to take them out of... take them out of combat, like things like paralyzation or hold spells, things like that. I get it. But you got to have some real threats in there. Okay. Vance says, I horrified my players last week with a Vivimancer spell called Bone Warp with similar results. Very nice. Great minds. That's right. Moving along, subclass, necrologist. Now, when you Google necrologist, because I just looked it up, I thought, well, a necrologist would be good. Is that a scientist? Is that a biologist? Nope. It's somebody who writes obituary notices. So these are like scrolls, right? The person may be a poet, a musician, a journalist, or all of the above. Could be a bard. Could be a subclass of a bard. Scroll options, save versus applicable stat, whatever it is you want them to roll against. This is laid to rest. So I would have, you can write these out, and maybe I'll write them out in the future, maybe not. But for the sake of time and space within the zine, somebody could write it up. This is great role play where they're going to recite the obituary, just like you'd read an obituary at somebody's funeral. But they're going to have to read it out loud. And it causes 1d4 corrupted to lay down and rest for 1d4 rounds. And you could say, oh, my mighty undead, we lay you to rest. Your journey has been hard. Lie down and sleep for a while, and so forth, just like you were, laying somebody to rest at a funeral. Then you can do Fire of Judgment, causes 1d6 points of fire damage to 1d4 corrupted. And you, once again, can read the obituary and talk about the fire of judgment upon their souls. And say, this person who died and came back is probably, burning somewhere, if you want to put that in there. Let's see, Gathering of Saints. I kind of like this one. I messed around with it, and the chart, I messed with the chart a little bit. It says, calls undead anywhere near the necrologist to come to their aid. They will fight until destroyed. Roll on the Gathering of Saints chart. So you have 1d10 normal undead, 2 no dead available, 1d8 shadow horde available, 1d12 undead animals. And then what kind of animals do you get? Well, you can get 1d4 bears, squirrels, raccoons, and these are going to be kind of random. That's why rats are in there. Birds are in there. Rats and birds are kind of everywhere. Squirrels are kind of everywhere. And you can expand this chart as you choose. You can make it a 1d12. You can make it 1d20, which, maybe I'll do in the future. And then I also put in there that the necrologist, every 3 levels, the necrologist gains 2 new scrolls and 1 damage die is added to the pool. So if it's 1d4 damage, it goes to 2d4. If it's, so forth, right? And then that's it. That's that I offer some recommended undead resources that I think are pretty cool. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Hell of a Hail Mary and zombie squirrels. Absolutely. Doing your work for you, Mac. That's what I think. That's what I'd like to see. And I think that gives them, once again, that's super descriptive for a DM. That you hear these squirrels come to your aid. Now they're just all over, right? They're all over the undead creatures that you're wanting to attack. That the dead are there to serve the necrologist. They're not attacking you, which is great. They are attacking the dead for you. So once again, those are that. And then I put a few other little things in the back. Once again, I'm trying to get better at formatting the zine and so forth. And then I put things like More Crit Happens in there, and all those are linked up, that if you don't have those, you can always click on the links to these individual ones if you don't have them. And I have ones that are not connected to the hex crawl, right? I still have the back to school issue that's right here. I still have, other ones like pirates, things of that nature. So, I'm trying to get better at formatting, and then I have other resources that are in my store as well. And so, let's see. Let's go back to here. So that is the hex crawl. That is the corrupted. I'm going to go make, once I get off of here, if this is something of interest to you and you say, hey, Paul, I'd like to help you get to the con, at least pay for the con cost. If you think this is of value, go ahead and throw it in there, pick it up. If you want to wait, if you want to buy it individually, just buy it for $1, right? Just buy it for $1 and it's yours and you can have it. You can buy all separately 3 for $3, or you can buy the bundle for $5. I understand the math. And like I said, in the future, it may go up. The zines may expand. I did it, and I put a value on it. Up to you guys. You guys can do as you please. I thank you for anything you give, anything you offer. If you have any questions, now's your time to ask, because I'm going to get out of your way, and I think I've stayed to my 45 minutes. Well, 50 minutes. Now I'm pushing an hour. But hopefully the content you have seen today is of value. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you enjoyed kind of my perspectives on, creating, in the market space that I'm trying to get into now and those things. This year, hopefully I'm going to still have a zine every month. I'm going to create new factions, have new stuff going on. And once again, hope you guys come with me on the journey. But yeah, thank you guys so much for hanging out. Appreciate you being a part. Chat, you guys are awesome. Boy, I appreciate you guys being a part and hanging out and making this interesting and fun. Appreciate everybody that's in here. Tabletop Wanderers, thank you for staying up late. I'm gonna let you go to bed. it's probably 12:30 now, and you can get up and do your thing in the morning. But anyway, thank you guys so much. Appreciate it, man. Tabletop Wanderer, appreciate the comments. Once again, good stuff coming in the future. Check out the videos. I'll put those up here. If you want to see the deep dive into, that's right, when the boss pays, that's the deal, right? And me too. That's absolutely. All right. That is it, guys. Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys being a part. I'll let you guys go. I know it's late where you are. Check out the videos. I'll put the videos here. And then I may just put the corrupted part as a separate video, up tomorrow in a separate video for those who just want to watch just my part. Or I may re-record it all together once I have corrected all the typos. So that is it for now, everybody. Thank you for being a part. And I will see you guys in the next live. Enjoy your evening. And we'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for everything, buddy. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.